Hi everybody, it's the Soap Man and it's time to make some soap. So as you probably guessed from the title, I'm going to be using a fragrance called Orange Cranberry Spice. I'll be testing this one. This is from the Midwest Fragrance Company. I have not used this. The company does say it accelerates a little, so I'm going to be cautious and find out. Since I've never used it, I'm going to be doing it in layers. So that way I can see how it behaves, and then I'll determine whether or not I'll put it in the frosting. So I'm going to be using the tall skinny mold on a slant. The first layer is going to be, try to get a really deep yellow with quite a good bit of orange or yellow vibrance from Nurture Soap, and to stabilize that with Mad Mica's Tennis Ball Breaker. Then the middle layer is going to be a deep red using Nurture Soap's Trial by Fire and a little pinch of activated charcoal to deepen it just a little bit. And the top layer is going to be a deep orange. I'm going to have quite a good bit of orange vibrance and stabilize that with Mad Mica's flotation device. And then the frosting is going to be Nurture Soap's Green Vibrance, darkened just a little bit with Chrome Green Oxide. Those three will be on a tilted layer. Each layer turn the other opposite direction. I probably am going to texture it and dust it with a mica layer with Nurture Soap's Shimmer Gold. I may or may not. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to see how it goes, but that's the plan. Use that fragrance, and I think that's enough talk. So let me get things mixed up and we'll get started. Okay, I'm back and it's time to get started on our bottom layer. And I forgot to mention in the intro, I'm actually doing two soaps in this video. So this is the first of two, testing the Orange Cranberry Spice from the Midwest Fragrance Company. So our bottom layer is going to be the yellow, which is the Nurture Soap Yellow Vibrance. And I'm going to put quite a bit, because this isn't real stable and I want a bold deep yellow. I'm going to go ahead and hand stir it. And see, right there is just exactly what I want. I like it just as it is, but it usually doesn't stay that way after saponification and then after a couple of weeks cure time. So I'm going to put a little bit of Tennis Ball Breaker, but just a tiny, because I don't want this neon. I'm talking like, I believe that's 1/8 of a teaspoon, or is that 6? I think it's 1/8 of a teaspoon. Just a little bit. I'm not even going to put the full amount. So let's get this stick blended, and then we'll see how our fragrance does. Actually, before I put the fragrance in, I need to get my slant table ready. I don't do this very often, and I did not have this prepared. Okay, there we go. Now that's prepared. And I am actually going to do something I don't do very often, because these are in smaller 2-ounce bottles, and I'm not sure if I'm going to fragrance the frosting. I'm actually going to weigh it out. I'm going to be really cautious and weigh it out. Perfect. Just going to hand stir it. And since right now it seems to be okay, and I want this to set up, I'm going to give it a very quick hit with a stick blender. just a quickie, and get it into the mold. And I'll see how long it sets up, and that will determine whether or not I put it in the frosting. And I'm sorry, I'm probably blocking your view, but I can't do anything about it right now because of the way this is on the tilt. And there we have it. So that's still plenty fluid, so it's going to have to sit for a minute, so I'll be back. Okay, it's time for our middle layer, which is the red with a tiny bit of activated charcoal. That took a decent amount of time to set up, so acceleration's pretty minimal. So I most likely will put it in the frosting. So I'll play just a little bit with the activated charcoal, because I don't want much of a darkening, and I don't know just exactly how much to put in. That's all I'm going to do regardless of how it looks, because when it gels and cures, it'll look a little different. Alright, let me measure my fragrance. Just finish it. Perfect. I'll give it a good stir first, and then gentle stick blend. And I went ahead and textured it and dusted it with the mica because this is going to be a pretty long video, especially with 2 soaps. So here we go with the red, and it's nice and fluid still. And there we go. I'm going to let that sit till it's firmed up, and we'll get the top layer. Okay, it's time for our top layer, which is the orange. Once again, this isn't always the most stable, so I'm going to use a pretty hefty amount. See, right there is really nice. I like that, but it won't stay. So I'm going to put a tiny amount of flotation device in it, but not much because I don't want a neon orange. Give it a quick stick blend to mix everything together, including that neon. let's get our fragrance in. And I know I can use half of this bottle and then the other half in the frosting. Because I am going to use it in the frosting. It's behaving well enough. Here is our final layer, and I really meant to clean that up before I did this, but it's probably too late now. So the side of the soap will be a little messy. Michelines can get pretty messy. Okay, I'm going to make sure that is set up well enough before I tackle the frosting, so I'll be back when I'm ready for it. Okay, it's the next day and it's time to cut our soap. Everything on the pour went really well. That red is the kind of the deep red I was hoping for. The orange and the yellow are what I'm hoping for. I just don't know if they'll stay that color or not, but we'll see. Granny needs a good bath, so I brought her home to cut, and it's actually better because it'll be a faster cut, and I usually get a few more bars because She cuts the bars just a little smaller than my bud cutter. Yep, that's just exactly what I was hoping. The colors are even exactly what I was hoping. And I can see the brown mica line. Now I hope they'll stay that color. I don't know, but time will tell. So the fragrance had just very, very minimal acceleration. And right now, it has a nice cinnamony smell. Don't know if it will keep that. Only 4 weeks cure time will tell if it holds and if the colors stay like what I was hoping. But, as of right now, this is exactly what I was expecting. So I will cut this last bar and get these lined up and get a picture, but that's my first one. And then the next one is going to be Tobacco and Bay Leaf from Midwest Fragrance Company. So it'll be a few days, but for you guys it'll be instant, so I'll see you in just a second. Bye everybody. Okay, I'm back and it's time for our second soap. So as I mentioned before, I will be testing Tobacco Bay Leaf from the Midwest Fragrance Company. And Midwest Fragrance says that behaves very well, allowing plenty of time for complex pours. So I'm going to go based on that. I'm going to do just a simple drop swirl. I'm going to use black activated charcoal from Nurture Soap. I will be using titanium dioxide for white, and I will be using purple vibrance from Nurture Soap. And I wanted to do a two-tone frosting. I'm a little bit nervous since I am testing a new fragrance, so what I'm going to do most likely is put a black frosted top on it, and I may dust that a little bit with Snowflake Sparkle from Nurture Soap. So I'm doing the heat transfer. Give me a minute to get things set up and I'll be back. Okay, we're ready, so let's mix our colors in. So we'll mix our black in first. And as usual, everything has only been hand stirred. Nothing's been stick blended yet. So should have plenty of time to work, especially if this fragrance behaves as well as they say. Here's our purple. And I'm going to just stir the titanium dioxide in, knowing that it has to be well stick blended. So let's stick blend these lightest to darkest, as always. This will be the white. And the purple. And the black. Now the moment of truth. Let's see how our fragrance does. So I can use a half of each of these bottles in each container. So a half there, second half there, and then the second bottle, half in the purple and half for the frosting. So I am going to just barely hit it just to kind of see how it does with stick blending. I'll also find out with the frosting how it does. Just a quick pulse. And we're ready to pour. All right, so it does indeed behave beautifully. That is very thin, so I'll be back when I'm ready for the frosting. All right, and finally we're up to the cut, and everything went beautifully. This fragrance does behave very well, very slow mover. I waited a long time for the fragrance and for the frosting, I mean, and it still was really gloopy. It didn't set up very well. So let's cut and see what we have. Okay, just what I was hoping for. So I will line these up and get a picture. And out of the bottle, this fragrance had a really bright citrusy smell. Now that it's gone through saponification, it smells a lot more like what I was expecting, and it's really strong. So let's hope it holds its good strong scent. And then if that's the case, it's definitely a 5-star, and I will definitely buy a big bottle. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to do one more batch in my tall skinny mold. And it's just going to be a coffee soap, nothing spectacular, but I'll go ahead and put the cutting clip at the end. So I'll see you for that one in just a minute. All right, bye everybody.